What's the connection between the decision to rename 44 schools in San Francisco, the famous phrase, skeletons in the closet, and our Torah portion, Parashat Bashalach? This week, the school board of the city of San Francisco decided to rename 44 schools, explaining that the people these schools were named after had ties to racism or slavery. And so they dropped names like Abraham Lincoln, Dianne Feinstein, and George Washington, among others. Now, I find this decision alarming. I have no doubt that the motivation to improve our society and to clean it from racism and all expressions of hatred is a very noble one. However, its outcome is a very dangerous one. This kind of approach to people's legacies diminishes their lives to an error, a mistake, or our own anachronistic understanding of morality. Explains Rabbi Shai held that because of its high moral standard, the Bible set rules for slavery. However, we wouldn't say today that the Bible promotes slavery. We would rather say, in a reading beyond time, that the Bible promotes relationships of mutual respect and dignity between human beings. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, thinking about the concept of cancel culture, brings the work of the American anthropologist Ruth Benedict, who coined the distinction between American and Japanese societies, as America being a culture of guilt and the Japanese society a culture of shame. Now, let's be honest. Anyone with a Jewish mother knows that we are a culture of guilt. And actually, that's good news. In a culture of guilt, there is a space for forgiveness, for rectification. There is also a space for the understanding of our own humanity as a work in progress. In a culture of shame, there is just judgment. There is no way back. The rise of social media and the way in which we communicate with each other is gradually removing the space for clarification, rectification, and growth, because everything remains recorded forever. And so we are judged. We are all becoming a culture of shame. Shame leads to two very concerning things. One, those that err, that make mistakes, cannot aspire to rectify or to be forgiven. And so they feel obligated to put their skeletons in the closet. And if they don't manage, we know that shame cultures have the highest rate of suicide. There is no future. Number two, it is an alarming thing, and it's that the culture of shame brings those that are or feel shameless to thrive. If you don't feel accountable, you thrive in a culture of shame. And that is certainly scary. Now, the decision of the school board in San Francisco sets a wrong moral standard. It says that your existence is reduced to your mistakes, as opposed to saying that your mistakes are also a part of who you are and what you become. Our tradition doesn't hide the fact that our forefathers and mothers were very, very imperfect human beings. They made mistakes, but they also did very good deeds and were led by noble intentions. This concept is key in order to distinguish the legacies of good and evil people. Now, I promise skeletons. In this Torah portion, we read in Exodus 13:19, ויקח משה את עצמות יוסף עמו. And Moses took with him the bones of Joseph, who had exacted an oath from the children of Israel, saying, God will be sure to take notice of you. Then you shall carry up my bones from here with you. They literally take Joseph's skeleton as they undertake their journey toward redemption. Now, while this act seems to be an act of kindness toward Joseph, it is actually setting a fundamental notion for those who are about to start the journey toward redemption. When taking the bones, the people understand that they too won't be forgotten, that their lives matter, that promises can be fulfilled, and that transcendence is a realistic aspiration. It is a moral obligation for us as a society to know that the icons of this country were also human beings, and they also made mistakes, and to think critically and learn from those mistakes. But it is nonetheless important to learn that they transcended because of their good deeds. A shaming society doesn't raise accountability, nor the bar of moral behavior. It rather hides immorality, causes paralysis, and sometimes even kills. We don't want to hide skeletons in the closet. On the contrary, we need to carry the bones with us, even when that work is sometimes beyond challenging. But if we do so, our children will learn that promises can be fulfilled, that mistakes can be rectified, that they too won't be forgotten, and that their lives matter. Shabbat shalom, everyone.